Hello, I'm Clayton Chapman, chef and owner of the Gray Plume restaurant in Omaha, Nebraska. Welcome to our kitchen. I'm here with Hayneedle, demonstrating classic Wusthof knives. The paring knife is great for a series of small tasks, everything from, say, slicing cherry tomatoes to slicing rounds of tomatoes. But it's great for like a lot of, say, like detail work if you would to decide to mince garlic. Kind of a neat way of doing it is you can slice off a little bit of the tip. You can slice off the heel or the stem end. You can make a little incision that's not too deep down the center and peel the outer skin. Then what's kind of fun about mincing garlic is you can do it the traditional way with a much larger chef's knife and kind of, work it in a series of different angles. Or you can take like a smaller knife, like a paring knife, or we can do it with a utility knife also, and kind of do it a little more precisely. So you would take the clove, cut it in half, lay it on its face, and then we're going to leave just like a eighth of an inch in the back that we don't slice, and you're going to make a series of cuts that go top to bottom all the way through the clove. We left just like an eighth inch just to give us like a little handle. So we went all the way through that way. We're going to make a few cuts from bottom to top, working that way. And then essentially you have a series of cuts both lengthwise and width, and then you can go back through and dice, and everything's nice and minced. What's great in cutting garlic this way is that rather than like placing it on a cutting board and just chopping it like kind of haphazardly, so to speak, is it allows you to keep a lot of the oils in the garlic and they don't soak into the cutting board. So we like to use the utility knife for things like potatoes as well as garlic. We like to kind of pair the knife with the size of project that we're working on. So something like this is great, whether you're cutting potatoes for sautéing or blanching, whether you go back through and you decide to, say, cut slices of potatoes, and then you'll go back through and dice them for, say, hash browns or something like that. We would call this cut in the culinary world a small dice. It's a 1/4 inch by 1/4 inch. And then you're kind of left with, smaller square cubes. Something else a little knife like this is very good for is when it comes to herbs like sage and parsley and basil. We call this like a chiffonade, where you cut very fine ribbons of like small herbs. So what's neat about something like this is you can take your leaves, whether this is white sage, but you can do it with basil leaves, you can do it with spinach, you can do it with fresh parsley. Kind of take your leaves, stack them on top of each other. If you just put a little bit of pressure, and you use kind of like the front half of the knife, it allows you to just kind of rock back and forth, and then you're able to do very kind of like small detailed knife work. And this is great for finishing fish or finishing chicken or something like that. So I think a great investment is a bread knife for both professional and home cooks. It's kind of a once a lifetime investment. What's great about it is that it has the serrated edges, and so it'll stay sharp for a very long time. But I would highly recommend using a bread knife slicing baguettes or loaf breads or anything that has like a nice hard crust, as opposed to using a chef's knife, just because what's so nice about using a bread knife is you're able to let the knife do the work, and you're able to slice the bread without having to apply a lot of pressure. Whereas if you use like a traditional chef's knife, you have to put a lot of weight on the bread in order to move your knife through it. So something like this is great because it allows you to go through, in this case, the baguette kind of effortlessly. I think my favorite knife in both this series as well as kind of all time is a slicer. I feel like it's a great knife that can be used like as a larger utility knife, but it also allows you to do a lot of the fine detail work that you need a larger knife for that you don't necessarily want to use a chef's knife for. So it works great for something as simple as like slicing nice rounds of larger tomatoes, because you have the ability to use a little bit larger blade as opposed to like a small utility. But then what's nice is that it's not like so large or large in length that you can't go back through, and you can also use the same knife to small dice for something that's as fragile as like a tomato, and it allows it to keep its shape without like bruising the fruit or the vegetable. So I enjoy it for that aspect. And then for something like slicing a pepper, it's great because you have this kind of like fine point tip, allows you to do the detail work of, say, removing seeds or this kind of core. This piece here will be a little bit bitter, so we always remove it. But it allows you the flexibility to both take your time and make nice fine slices, like a fine julienne, or you can use it as like a quasi chef's knife and dice with it like so. Something else like a large utility knife or a slicer is great for is the ability to slice like both clean raw meats, but as well as slice cured meats. We do all of our own charcuterie in house, so this is an herb de Provence salami, but it's great. It allows you the flexibility to slice through, but the blade is also thin enough that it allows you to do some kind of fine point detail work and to get things pretty paper thin, which is how we prefer to serve it. So doing something like this with like a chef's knife is certainly feasible, but it's a lot easier with with the right tool, with something a little bit smaller. So the last one in our series, where like I feel like a great utility knife is almost like a home enthusiast chef's knife. This is something, the chef's knife is what we use greatly in the restaurant. It's kind of our go-to tool, something that we use very regularly. And we use it for a number of things. You can use it to do all of the things that we've done previously, like the small detail work, but you can also use it for a lot of larger items. Like we would use it to, say, cut zucchini, if we were to like do some slices. And it allows you to kind of come through. You get to do it kind of effortlessly. It's got a nice weight to it, so it pushes the weight of the knife through the vegetable so that you don't have to apply a lot of pressure. Something else that is great for a chef's knife is mincing an onion. So how we do it at the restaurant is you would cut it top to tail, lay it on its face. You remove kind of the top end as well as the bottom. Peel, and then we'll cut this like you would cut garlic. So you'd make a series of cuts lengthwise, leaving like a 1/4 inch in back, giving yourself like a handle or something to hold on to. We're going to go all the way through the onion. We're going to make that same cut, but we're going to work top or bottom to top of the onion from the front to the back. And as you do it, if you place your hand palm down with your fingers up, in the event that the knife ever slips, it won't hit your fingertips. So you kind of hold it nice and firm on the board and just push through. If your knife is nice and sharp, you shouldn't have to put a lot of effort into making those cuts. Then what's nice is you can go back and just dice it.